Aria Novak, as she gazed out the reinforced viewport of Outpost Zeta 9. The solitary human technician had grown accustomed to the isolation that came with manning this remote refueling station, but today felt different. A faint blip on her console pulled her attention away from the star-speckled void. Unidentified vessel approaching, the station's AI announced, its monotone voice echoing through the empty corridors. Aria's heart raced as she rushed to the command center. Her nimble fingers danced across the holographic interface, bringing up sensor readings and communication channels. The approaching ship was unlike anything in the database, its design fluid and organic, a stark contrast to the angular human vessels she was used to seeing. "This is Outpost Zeta 9 to unidentified vessel. Please state your intentions," Aria broadcast, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. Static crackled through the speakers before a melodic, otherworldly voice responded. "Greetings, Outpost Zeta 9. This is Captain Zilvara of the Lyranian scout ship Nebula Whisper. We've sustained critical damage and require immediate assistance." Aria's mind reeled. First contact. Here, on her lonely outpost at the edge of explored space. She took a deep breath, centering herself. "Understood, Nebula Whisper. Prepare for docking procedures. I'll meet you in the main hangar." As she made her way through the station's winding corridors, Aria's thoughts raced. Her training had covered protocols for encountering new species, but the reality of the situation was far more daunting than any simulation. She grabbed a universal translator from the equipment locker, hoping it would be compatible with the alien language. The massive hangar doors groaned open, revealing the sleek form of the Nebula Whisper. Its hull shimmered with an iridescent sheen, marred by ugly scorch marks and twisted metal. As the ship settled onto the docking platform, Aria noticed fluid leaking from several ruptures, coolant, or perhaps something far more exotic. With a hiss of depressurization, a hatch on the alien vessel slid open. Aria's breath caught in her throat as a figure emerged. The alien was tall and lithe, with 4 arms and skin that seemed to shift colors like the surface of a soap bubble. Its large, multifaceted eyes fixed on Aria, filled with a mix of caution and curiosity. "Welcome to Outpost Zeta 9, Aria said, activating the translator. "I'm Aria Novak, chief technician and current sole occupant of this station." The alien, Captain Zilvara, Aria presumed, tilted its head, listening to the translated greeting. After a moment, it responded, its melodic voice rendered into stilted English by the device. "Gratitude, Technician Aria Novak. Our vessel requires extensive repairs. We hope to find aid at this outpost." Aria nodded, her eyes drawn to the damage visible on the Nebula Whisper's hull. "I'll do what I can to help. Can you tell me what happened?" Zilvara's color shifting intensified, patterns rippling across its skin in what Aria guessed was a sign of distress. "We were attacked by an unknown force, barely escaped. Our long-range communications are offline. We cannot contact our homeworld." The gravity of the situation settled over Aria. She was now responsible not just for repairing an alien vessel, but potentially safeguarding a first contact scenario and uncovering a new threat to both their species. "Let's start with a full diagnostic of your ship's systems. I'll need to understand how your technology works before I can begin repairs." As they walked towards the Nebula Whisper, Zilvara's gait smoothed out, becoming more graceful as it adjusted to the station's gravity. "Your offer of assistance is most welcome, Technician Aria. I admit I was unsure how we would be received by your kind." Aria allowed herself a small smile. Humanity has always dreamed of reaching the stars and meeting new civilizations. We're explorers at heart, and please just call me Aria. Inside the alien ship, Aria's senses were overwhelmed. The interior was a seamless blend of technology and organic components, pulsing with an inner light that seemed to respond to Zilvara's presence. Holographic displays sprang to life, filled with symbols and readings Aria couldn't begin to decipher. "This is incredible," she breathed, her engineer's mind already racing with questions and theories. "I've never seen anything like this. How does your ship's power system work? What kind of propulsion do you use for faster-than-light travel?" Zilvara's skin rippled with what Aria hoped was amusement. "One question at a time, Aria. Perhaps we can exchange knowledge as we work. Your station's design is equally fascinating to me." As they began the process of assessing the damage, Aria couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement bubbling up within her. The lonely outpost that had been her home for the past year had suddenly become the focal point of humanity's first steps into a larger galactic community. "Zilvara," Aria said, pausing in her examination of a ruptured power conduit, "I promise you, we'll get your ship repaired. And when we do, I have a feeling this is just the beginning of something incredible for both our peoples." The alien captain's multifaceted eyes seemed to sparkle with an emotion Aria couldn't quite place. "I believe you may be right, Aria of Earth. The stars have brought us together for a purpose. Now, shall we begin?" With newfound determination, Aria threw herself into the task of repairing the Nebula Whisper. As human ingenuity met alien technology, the seeds of an extraordinary partnership began to take root aboard Outpost Zeta 9. As the artificial day cycle of Outpost Zeta 9 began, Aria found herself elbow-deep in the intricate systems of the Nebula Whisper. The alien technology was a paradox, simultaneously more advanced than anything humanity had achieved, yet in many ways surprisingly familiar. "Zilvara, I think I've identified the primary issue with your propulsion system," Aria called out, her voice muffled as she lay beneath a pulsating console. "But I'm not sure how to safely disconnect this power coupling. It seems to be alive." The Lyranian captain glided over, its four arms moving in perfect synchronization as it examined Aria's work. "Ah, yes. The bioneural relays are sensitive. Allow me to demonstrate." Aria watched in fascination as Zilvara placed two hands on either side of the coupling. The alien's skin began to glow softly, and the coupling responded, gently detaching itself with a soft chirp. "Incredible," Aria breathed. "Your technology is partially organic, isn't it? It responds to your bioelectric field." Zilvara's skin rippled with what Aria was beginning to recognize as pleased surprise. "You are quite perceptive, Aria. Yes, Lyranian technology is a fusion of synthetic and organic components. It allows for a more intuitive interface." As they continued to work, Aria found herself constantly amazed by the elegance of Lyranian engineering. Yet, she also noticed Zilvara's fascination with her own primitive tools and problem-solving methods. "You rely so heavily on external devices," Zilvara observed, watching Aria splice wires with a laser cutter. "Does it not feel disconnected?" Aria chuckled. "I suppose it might seem that way to you. But for us, these tools are extensions of ourselves. They allow us to adapt, to overcome our biological limitations. Humanity's greatest strength has always been our ability to create and use tools." As the repairs progressed, they fell into a rhythm, each learning from the other. Aria's quick thinking and improvisation complemented Zilvara's deep understanding of the ship's systems. What began as a necessary collaboration slowly evolved into a genuine partnership. "Aria," Zilvara said during a brief rest period, its voice tinged with curiosity, "tell me about your world. Why do you choose to live alone on this distant outpost?" Aria paused, considering the question. "Earth is complicated, beautiful, but crowded. Out here, among the stars, I feel like I can make a real difference. Every ship I help refuel or repair is pushing the boundaries of human exploration." She looked up at the alien, a smile playing on her lips. "Though I never expected to be pushing quite this far." Zilvara's skin shimmered with understanding. "The call of the unknown. It is a feeling we Lyranians know well. It is why we sent out scout ships like the Nebula Whisper to seek new life and new civilizations." As they shared stories of their respective worlds, Aria felt a growing connection to the alien captain. Despite their vast physiological differences, she recognized a kindred spirit in Zilvara, a fellow explorer, driven by curiosity and wonder. Their conversation was interrupted by a sudden alarm from the Nebula Whisper's systems. Zilvara rushed to a console, its movements now sharp with tension. "What is it?" Aria asked, already reaching for her tools. "The damage to our quantum entanglement array was more severe than we realized," Zilvara explained, its voice tight. "If we cannot stabilize it soon, it could create a localized space-time rupture." Aria's mind raced, trying to grasp the implications. "That sounds bad. What do we need to do?" Zilvara's 4 hands danced over the ship's controls. "The array requires a specific resonance frequency to realign, but our systems are too damaged to generate it precisely." A spark of inspiration hit Aria. "Wait, what if we use the outpost communication array? If we can modify it to broadcast on the frequency you need, it might be enough to stabilize your system." The alien captain's eyes widened. Yes, that could work, but it would require reconfiguring your entire communications system. The risk to your outpost is worth it, Aria finished firmly. "We're in this together now, Zilvara. Let's do it." What followed was a frenzy of activity. Aria sprinted through the station, rewriting power and reprogramming systems she had never intended to modify. Meanwhile, Zilvara worked to align the Nebula Whisper's damaged array, preparing it to receive the stabilizing frequency. As the minutes ticked by, the air grew thick with tension. Warning lights flashed across both human and alien consoles, signaling the imminent danger of a space-time rupture. "Almost there," Aria called out, her fingers flying over the outpost's main control panel. "Zilvara, are you ready?" "Affirmative," came the response. "Initiating on your mark." Aria took a deep breath, silently hoping her calculations were correct. "Activating now." The outpost's lights dimmed as power was diverted to the communication array. A low hum filled the air, building in intensity until Aria could feel it vibrating in her bones. On board the Nebula Whisper, the quantum entanglement array pulsed with energy, its chaotic fluctuations slowly stabilizing. For a moment that seemed to stretch into eternity, nothing happened. Then, with a final surge of power, the alien ship's systems realigned. The warning lights faded, replaced by the steady glow of normal operations. Zilvara's voice came through the comm system, filled with relief and gratitude. "It worked, Aria. You've done it. You've saved my ship, and quite possibly both our lives." Aria slumped against the console, exhausted but elated. "We did it together, Zilvara. Human ingenuity and Lyranian technology. Looks like we make a pretty good team." As the adrenaline of the moment faded, Aria realized that in working to save the Nebula Whisper, she and Zilvara had done something even more remarkable. They had bridged the gap between 2 vastly different species, laying the foundation for cooperation and understanding. Looking out at the stars through the station's viewport, Aria felt a sense of anticipation. The universe suddenly seemed a little less vast, a little less lonely. And whatever challenges lay ahead, she knew that together, humanity and the Lyranians could face them. Little did they know, those challenges were closer than either of them realized, lurking in the shadows of space, waiting to test their newfound alliance. The days following the quantum entanglement array crisis are filled with a flurry of activity. Aria and Zilvara worked tirelessly, repairing systems and exchanging knowledge. As the Nebula Whisper inched closer to full functionality, the conversations deepened, moving beyond technical discussions to cultural exchange and personal histories. One artificial evening, as they shared a meal of synthesized protein for Aria and bioluminescent algae for Zilvara, the Lyranian captain's demeanor suddenly shifted. Its skin, usually a calm swirl of blues and greens, darkened to a deep purple. "Aria," Zilvara began, its melodic voice tinged with hesitation, "there is something I must confess. The attack on our ship, it was not a random occurrence." Aria set down her fork, her full attention on her alien friend. "What do you mean?" Zilvara's 4 hands moved in a complex gesture that the translator interpreted as a sign of deep concern. "We were pursued. The Nebula Whisper carries vital information, data that could shift the balance of power in this sector of the galaxy." "What kind of information?" Aria asked, her mind racing with possibilities. "We discovered evidence of an ancient species," Zilvara explained, "one that possessed technology far beyond even Lyranian understanding. Their artifacts are scattered across dozens of worlds. In the wrong hands, this knowledge could be catastrophic." Aria leaned back, processing this revelation. "And whoever attacked you wants this information?" Zilvara nodded, its eyes dimming. "They call themselves the Void Collective, a group of rogue scientists and mercenaries from various species, obsessed with unlocking the secrets of the ancients, regardless of the cost." As if on cue, a shrill alarm pierced the air. Both Aria and Zilvara rushed to the command center, where the main view screen flickered to life. A massive ship, its hull a patchwork of mismatched technologies, loomed in the distance. "It's them," Zilvara whispered, its voice filled with dread. "They found us." Aria's fingers flew over the controls, activating the outpost's rudimentary defensive systems. "How? We're in the middle of nowhere." "The quantum fluctuations from our repairs," Zilvara realized. "They must have detected them." "Aria, I'm so sorry. I've brought this danger to your doorstep." Aria shook her head, her jaw set with determination. "No time for apologies. We need a plan. How long before they're in weapons range?" The A's monotone voice cut through their tension. "Estimated time to intercept, 47 minutes. "Not much time," Aria muttered. She turned to Zilvara, her eyes blazing with the fire of a challenge accepted. "All right, what are we working with? What can the Nebula Whisper do in a fight?" Zilvara's skin rippled with a mix of admiration and concern. "Our weapons are limited, mainly defensive in nature. We're a scout ship, not a warship. The Void Collective vessel outguns us significantly." Aria nodded, her mind already formulating strategies. "Then we don't fight fair. We use what we have. The outpost, your ship, and every trick we can think of." For the next half hour, they worked feverishly. Aria repurposed the outpost's industrial fabricators to create makeshift weapons and defenses. Zilvara interfaced with the Nebula Whisper, coaxing every ounce of power from its recovering systems. As they worked, Aria couldn't help but marvel at how seamlessly they functioned as a team. Human intuition and creativity meshed perfectly with Lyranian precision and advanced knowledge. It was as if the universe had brought them together for this very moment. "Void Collective vessel entering weapons range in 5 minutes, the AI announced, its calm voice a stark contrast to the frantic energy in the command center. Aria took a deep breath, looking at the alien who had become more than just an unexpected visitor. Zilvara was now a trusted friend and ally. "Ready?" The Lyranian captain's skin glowed with a fierce determination that needed no translation. "Ready." The comm system crackled to life, and a harsh voice filled the air. "Lyranian vessel and human outpost. This is Commander Vex of the Void Collective. Surrender the ancient data, or be destroyed." Aria exchanged a glance with Zilvara before responding, her voice steady and defiant. "This is Technician Aria Novak of Outpost Zeta 9. We respectfully decline your offer, Commander. This knowledge isn't yours to take." A cruel laugh echoed through the speakers. "Then you've chosen destruction. How noble and how foolish." The view screen lit up as the Void Collective ship opened fire. Bolts of energy streaked towards the outpost and the Nebula Whisper, but Aria and Zilvara were ready. With split-second timing, Zilvara activated the Nebula Whisper's advanced shields, extending their protection to cover the outpost. Meanwhile, Aria triggered the makeshift defense grid they had cobbled together. Repurposed mining lasers and improvised electromagnetic pulse generators sprang to life, creating a chaotic web of counterfire. The space around Outpost Zeta 9 became a dazzling display of light and energy as human ingenuity clashed with the Void Collective's stolen technology. Aria's hands danced across the controls, adjusting their defenses on the fly, while Zilvara's four arms worked in perfect harmony, managing the Nebula Whisper's systems with incredible precision. But despite their preparations, they were outgunned. A particularly powerful blast rocked the outpost, sending sparks flying from overloaded consoles. Shield integrity at 62% and falling, the AI reported dispassionately. Aria gritted her teeth, her mind racing for a solution. Then her eyes fell on a readout from the Nebula Whisper's sensors. Zilvara, that last hit, did you see the energy signature? The Lyranian's eyes widened in understanding. Yes, it's similar to. Aria, you're brilliant. As one, they turned back to their respective controls, a desperate plan forming between them. They had mere minutes to implement it before the Void Collective broke through their defenses. But if it worked? Aria allowed herself a grim smile. Sometimes, the best way to deal with advanced technology was to think simple. And if there was one thing humans excelled at, it was turning the seemingly impossible into reality. The battle raged on, but now there was a glimmer of hope. As the Void Collective pressed their attack, little did they know that the true threat wasn't the weapons they faced, but the unprecedented collaboration between a lone human technician and a Lyranian scout. Together, Aria and Zilvaro were about to prove that the greatest power in the universe wasn't ancient technology, but the ability to adapt, improvise, and overcome. The command center of Outpost Zeta 9 shuddered under another barrage from the Void Collective's weapons. Aria steadied herself against a console, her eyes fixed on the rapidly declining shield readouts. Beside her, Zilvara's skin pulsed with patterns of determination and concern. Shield integrity at 41%, the AI announced. Estimated time to failure, 8 minutes. Aria nodded grimly. It'll have to be enough. Zilvara, how's our little surprise coming along? The Lyranian captain's multifaceted eyes gleamed with a mix of excitement and apprehension. The modifications to the quantum entanglement array are nearly complete. But Aria, I must warn you, this plan of yours is incredibly risky. If our calculations are off by even a fraction— I know, Aria interrupted, her voice soft but firm. But it's the best shot we've got. Sometimes you have to roll the dice to win the game. As Zilvara returned to its work, Aria's mind raced through the intricacies of their hastily devised plan. They had discovered that the Void Collective's weapons used a form of quantum tunneling to bypass conventional shields. It was devastatingly effective, but it also presented a unique vulnerability. If they could use the Nebula Whisper's damaged quantum entanglement array to create a controlled spacetime distortion, they might be able to turn the Collective's own technology against them. It was a plan born of desperation, a fusion of Lyranian science and human audacity. Incoming transmission from the Void Collective, the AI announced. Commander Vex's face appeared on the view screen, his features twisted in a sneer. Your defenses are failing. Surrender now, and I may spare your lives. Continue this foolish resistance, and I'll ensure your deaths are slow and painful. Aria straightened, meeting the commander's gaze with steely resolve. That's mighty generous of you, Vex, but I think we'll take our chances. As the transmission cut off, Zilvara approached, its movements conveying urgency. The modifications are complete. We can initiate the quantum pulse on your command. Aria took a deep breath, acutely aware that their lives and potentially the fate of this sector of space hung on what happened in the next few moments. All right, let's do this. On my mark, divert all remaining power to the quantum array. We'll only get one shot at this. The Lyranian nodded, its four hands poised over the controls. Aria turned her attention to the outpost systems, ready to channel every last ounce of energy they had into this desperate gambit. 3, 2, 1, mark. The lights in the command center dimmed as power surged through the station and into the Nebula Whisper. The alien ship's quantum entanglement array pulsed with energy, creating ripples in the fabric of space-time itself. For a heart-stopping moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, a wave of distortion spread outward from the outpost, invisible to the naked eye but clear on their sensors. It washed over the Void Collective ship like a tsunami of warped physics. The effect was immediate and spectacular. The Collective's weapons, relying on quantum tunneling, suddenly found themselves firing into unpredictable pockets of distorted space-time. Beams of energy curved back on themselves, shields flickered and failed, and systems throughout the ship began to overload. "It's working," Aria exclaimed, her eyes wide as she watched the chaos unfold on the viewscreen. "Their weapons are useless." Zilvera's skin rippled with triumphant colors. "Incredible. The distortion is causing cascade failures throughout their systems. They're completely vulnerable." But their victory was short-lived. Alarms blared as new warnings flashed across their screens. The quantum pulse, already pushing the limits of their technology, was growing unstable. "Aria," Zilvera's voice was urgent, "the distortion field is expanding beyond our control. If we don't shut it down soon, it could tear apart the very fabric of space in this entire sector." Aria's mind raced, calculating options. They couldn't risk such catastrophic damage, but powering down now would leave them defenseless against the Void Collective. They needed a solution, and fast. Suddenly, an idea struck her. Brilliant, crazy, and utterly human. "Zilvera, can you get a tractor beam lock on the Collective's ship?" The Lyranian's eyes widened in understanding. "Yes, but Aria, you can't be suggesting." "Oh, but I am." Aria grinned, her fingers flying over the controls. "Let's give Commander Vex a taste of his own medicine. On my signal, lock on and pull them in close, real close." As Zilvera prepared the Nebula Whisper's tractor beam, Aria opened a channel to the Void Collective ship. "Commander Vex, I suggest you brace for impact. Consider this a lesson in the dangers of underestimating lesser species." Before Vex could respond, Aria gave the signal. The Nebula Whisper's tractor beam lashed out, seizing the larger ship and dragging it towards the heart of the quantum distortion. At the same time, Aria initiated emergency protocols, sealing off sections of the outpost and preparing for rapid decompression. "Hold on to something," she yelled as she slammed her hand down on the final command. The quantum pulse peaked, creating a localized rift in space-time. The Void Collective ship, caught in its grip, was twisted and warped before vanishing in a flash of impossible light. In the same instant, Aria cut power to the array, causing the distortion to collapse in on itself. The resulting shockwave hit the outpost like a physical blow. Aria and Zilvera were thrown to the floor as emergency force fields flickered to life, barely containing the explosive decompression. For several long moments, they lay there, stunned and gasping for breath. Slowly, Aria pushed herself up, surveying the damage around them. The command center was a mess of sparking consoles and drifting debris, but they were alive. "Zilvera," she called out, her voice hoarse, "You okay?" The Lyranian captain stirred, its skin cycling through a dizzying array of colors before settling on a pale blue. I believe so. Aria, that was. I don't even have words in your language to describe it." Aria chuckled weakly. "Yeah, we humans have a talent for the improbable. Let's just hope it worked." As if in answer, the main view screen flickered to life, showing the space where the Void Collective ship had been. There was nothing there now but a slowly dissipating cloud of exotic particles. "We did it," Aria breathed, a mix of relief and disbelief washing over her. "We actually did it." Zilvera moved to stand beside her, its forearms gently steadying her. "Yes, we did. Together." As the adrenaline of the moment faded, Aria became acutely aware of the damage to the outpost and the Nebula Whisper. They had survived, but at a cost. Repairs would take weeks, maybe months. But as she looked at Zilvara, seeing the same mix of exhaustion and exhilaration in its alien features, Aria realized something profound. In facing this threat together, they had forged something greater than either of them could have achieved alone. A bridge between their species, built on trust, ingenuity, and shared purpose. The real work of repair, of understanding, of building a future where humans and Lyranians could stand together against the darkness of space was just beginning. But as Aria surveyed the battered but unbowed command center of Outpost Zeta 9, she couldn't help but smile. Whatever challenges lay ahead, she knew they would face them the same way they had faced the Void Collective. Together, the aftermath of their victory over the Void Collective left Outpost Zeta 9 in a state of organized chaos. Aria and Zilvara worked tirelessly, repairing critical systems and stabilizing the damage caused by their desperate gambit. The station's corridors echoed with the sounds of repair drones and the hum of emergency generators. As Aria welded a ruptured power conduit, she couldn't shake the feeling that their troubles were far from over. "Zilvara," she called out, her voice muffled by her repair mask. "I've been thinking. The Void Collective couldn't have been working alone, right? An operation that Big must have had support." The Lyranian captain paused in its work, its skin rippling with concern. "Your instincts serve you well, Aria. The collective was indeed part of a larger network. I fear our victory may have stirred a hornet's nest, as your people say." Aria nodded grimly, wiping sweat from her brow. "Then we need to be ready. The outpost defenses are shot, and the Nebula Whisper is still recovering. We're sitting ducks if anyone else comes looking for trouble." Zilvara's multifaceted eyes gleamed with determination. "Perhaps it's time we combine our technologies more permanently. The Lyranian High Council would not approve, but these are extraordinary circumstances." A spark of excitement cut through Aria's exhaustion. The prospect of merging human and Lyranian tech was both thrilling and daunting. "I like the way you think, Captain. Let's get to work." Over the next few days, Outpost Zeta 9 became a workshop of innovation. Aria's practical, hands-on approach meshed surprisingly well with Zilvara's advanced theoretical knowledge. They repurposed the outpost's industrial fabricators to create hybrid systems, blending the best of both their technologies. Aria marveled at the organic circuitry of Lyranian design, while Zilvara was impressed by the adaptability and resourcefulness of human engineering. Together, they created defenses that were more than the sum of their parts. As they worked, their bond deepened. The battle was over, but Aria knew that this was just the beginning. As she looked at Zilvara, seeing the same mix of exhaustion and excitement in its alien features, she realized that their adventure was far from over. In fact, it was just beginning. The days following their incredible victory over the Void Collective's allies were a blur of activity. Aria and Zilvara worked tirelessly to stabilize the outpost's systems and repair the damage from the battle. But even as they labored, there was a palpable sense of excitement in the air, a feeling that they stood on the brink of something momentous. As Aria sealed the last patch on the outpost's hull, she paused to look out at the stars. The vast expanse of space seemed different now, filled with potential rather than isolation. She felt Zilvara's presence before the Lyranian spoke, its bioluminescent skin casting a soft glow in the dim light. "Your thoughts seem as distant as the galaxies, Aria," Zilvara observed, its melodic voice tinged with curiosity. Aria turned, a smile playing on her lips. "Just thinking about how much has changed. A few weeks ago, I was alone out here, fixing broken coolant lines and dreaming of adventure. Now," she gestured to the hybrid systems they had created together, "now we've done the impossible. Twice." Zilvara's skin rippled with agreement. "Indeed, our collaboration has yielded results beyond my wildest expectations. The Lyranian High Council will be most interested in our discoveries." There was a note in Zilvara's voice that made Aria pause. "You don't sound entirely thrilled about that. What's wrong?" The alien captain was silent for a moment, its four arms moving in a complex gesture that Aria had come to recognize as deep contemplation. The Council is conservative in its approach to interspecies relations. They may not approve of how freely I've shared our technology with you. Aria felt a flicker of concern. Will you be in trouble? Perhaps, Zalvara admitted, but I believe what we've accomplished here is too important to ignore. The threat of the Void Collective and their allies remains. Our two species working together may be the key to safeguarding this sector of the galaxy. As they talked, making their way to the command center, an idea began to form in Aria's mind. It was audacious, perhaps even a little crazy, but the more she thought about it, the more right it felt. Zulvara, she said, stopping in front of the main console, what if we didn't wait for your council's approval? What if we took the initiative ourselves? The Lyranian's multifaceted eyes blinked in surprise. What do you mean? Aria's fingers danced over the controls, bringing up star charts and navigational data. Look at where we are. Outpost Zeta 9 sits at a crossroads between human and Lyranian space. We've already proven that our technologies can work together in amazing ways. What if we turn this outpost into a joint research and defense station? Zulvara's skin flickered with rapid color changes, a sign of intense thought. A bold proposal. It would be unprecedented, but the potential benefits are undeniable. Exactly, Aria pressed on, her excitement growing. We could continue to develop hybrid technologies, create better defenses against threats like the Void Collective, and more than that, we could be a bridge between our species, a place where humans and Lyranians could learn from each other, work together. As Zulvara considered the idea, Aria could see the possibilities unfolding in her mind. The outpost, once a lonely waypoint, could become a beacon of cooperation and innovation. It wouldn't be easy. There would be political hurdles, technical challenges, and the ever-present dangers of deep space. But the potential rewards were immeasurable. There will be resistance, Zalvara said at last, its voice thoughtful. From both our peoples. Many will fear such close collaboration. Aria nodded, acknowledging the truth in those words. No doubt. But after what we've been through, what we've accomplished together, can you imagine going back to the way things were? Separate, isolated, missing out on all we could learn from each other. A long moment passed as Zulvara processed the idea. Then slowly its skin began to glow with a warm, determined light. You are right, Aria. What we have started here is too important to abandon. If the Council will not see reason, then perhaps it is time for a more direct approach. Aria felt a surge of excitement and relief. So you're in? We're really doing this. We are, Zulvara confirmed, its voice filled with a mix of determination and amusement. Though I suspect neither of us fully understands what we're getting ourselves into. Laughing, Aria reached out and clasped one of Zulvara's hands in her own, a gesture that would have been unthinkable just weeks ago. Welcome to the human way of doing things, my friend. Sometimes you have to take a leap of faith. Over the next few hours, they worked feverishly, drafting plans and sending out carefully worded messages to both their superiors. They knew there would be questions, probably reprimands, and definitely resistance. But as they worked, side by side in the command center of what would soon become the galaxy's first joint human-Lyranian outpost, both Aria and Zulvara felt a sense of rightness. They had faced impossible odds together and emerged victorious. They had bridged the gap between their species in ways no one had thought possible. And now, they stood ready to forge a new path, one that could change the future of both their peoples. As the last message was sent, Aria looked out at the stars once more. The vast expanse of space no longer seemed empty or isolating. Instead, it was full of promise, of undiscovered wonders and untapped potential. And whatever challenges lay ahead, she knew she wouldn't face them alone. So, she said, turning to Zulvara with a grin, ready to change the galaxy. The Lyranian's skin pulsed with vibrant colors, its voice filled with warmth and anticipation. With you by my side, Aria, I believe we already have. As Outpost Zeta 9 hummed with new life and purpose, Aria and Zulvara stood together, human and Lyranian united in friendship and common purpose. The adventure that had begun with a distress call and a damaged ship had become something far greater. The first chapter in a new era of interstellar cooperation, discovery, and hope. The stars beckoned, full of challenges and opportunities, and together, they were ready to meet them head-on, pioneers of a brighter future for both their peoples and the galaxy at large.